Many are wondering, what are we looking at? The ripples on open water. It has been scientifically proven that open blue spaces are calming and relaxing. Whoever said that never fished in Florida.
Clown knife fish. Okay, so bring go.
Get the net. Get the net.
Oh, go down. Make sure. You, hold on. It's it. Oh my goodness, is that massive? Oh my goodness. Okay, hold on. Take this one up. That's either bring it. Okay, wait. Okay, hold on. Oh my goodness. Okay, now bring it. Walk it. It's in. No. Keep the tension on. It's gone.
Look at that fish.
Oh, he's got it. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, either wrap the line.
Someone made a funny joke that's that talk about an unlucky fish.
Get it, go on, get it there. Get it.
I got it.
Oh my goodness.
That alligator, just so you all know, is over 11 feet long.
Did he eat the whole thing?
Yeah.
He's gonna eat he's not even gonna notice what's going on with that. We're gonna have to measure how big that thing was.
That was the biggest clown knifefish we've ever heard.
He's the same one.
Oh, you little bastard!
That's it. Now he's slinking off into the water.
Oh yeah, he just blew the. That's it. That's the satisfied. Big guy.
Bring the whole body up.
That is fishing in Florida, ladies and gentlemen. The fish, if you've never seen it, look it up. I had never seen one before I came to Florida, and I'd never seen one until we hooked one. And I'm like, what the hell was that? It looked like an eel. It's got a dorsal fin that goes from the top to the bottom on the top and the bottom, and it ripples like an eel, but it's not an eel. It has scales on it. The tail is like sharpened like a torpedo. It's called the clown knifefish. I've been told they're invasive. I've also been told that they're non-invasive but non-native. They're beautiful fish. That one was a monster. And those little poaching bastard gators hang around by the dock, and if you catch a fish that's too big to just lift up and haul over the dock, the little bastard poachers snag it, snatch it, poach it. The thing about that fish is it was beautiful. The thing about that gator is it was massive. And not even a thanks for dinner from the gator. And by the way, that's what I was going to say. The clown knifefish, they have teeth on their tongue, so you can't lip them. They're just totally, totally beautiful. You understand why people get them as pets. You understand why they dump them in the water, because they outgrow their tanks. And do you understand why those little bastard gators hang out around the dock? That was our experience fishing in Florida. Good afternoon, everybody. And by the way, if that doesn't put a smile on your face, well, I dare say nothing will, except perhaps the sponsor of today's live stream. People, I got to press play on this. The sponsor is the Wellness Company, peeps. Before we get into the show, have you seen the latest fluoride headlines and the water supply? The future of oral care isn't fluoride. It's never been fluoride. It's peptides, according to the Wellness Company, who's just launched their first ever peptide paste that regenerates gum tissues, strengthens an enamel, and naturally whitens your teeth. It's called Smile. I think we know why. A doctor-formulated breakthrough that works with your body's natural repair process. This advanced formula blends targeted peptides with blue spirulina, aloe vera, and powerful remineralizers to boost blood flow, stimulate collagen, and help rebuild lost gum tissue, all while gently whitening without sensitivity. No fluoride, no peroxide, no artificial dyes, just real clean ingredients that fight bad bacteria and support a healthier mouth from the inside out. Ready to upgrade your oral health? Experience the care of Smile. Go over to twc.health/Viva. Promo code Viva gets you 10% off. Take action today for a healthier tomorrow. twc.health/Viva is the code. The link is in the description. Thank you, The Wellness Company, for sponsoring this show. The news of the day. We're going to start with a smile. I hope we have started with a smile. We are going to get into the breaking news of the day, which is the appointment? Is that what they call it? Nomination? Election of the new Pope. And I will say this, full disclosure, and it's not to fence it. I have no dog in this fight. I do not look to the Pope for spiritual guidance, so it doesn't impact me whatsoever. Despite disagreeing with what I believe are the politics of the Pope, I do not believe the Pope is going to have a meaningful impact on, at the very least, Trump immigration policies. So I have no dog in this fight. I have no opinion on it. I am just documenting and I guess being a journalist. I went through the Pope's entire Twitter feed back to 2011, people. A lot of it I didn't understand because of the three languages I speak. I can only really still read and understand French and English, and sometimes not even that. We're going to talk about the new Pope, American, first time in papal history, but he's got something of a Twitter footprint. We're going to talk about Bernie Sanders. I hate Bernie Sanders. I hate Bernie Sanders because I feel betrayed by him. There are some jackasses on the internet who seem to think it's a gotcha that you pull up a picture of me holding a Bernie Sanders mug, made in America, by the way, from 2015, 2016. I mean, you're so freaking stupid to think that that's a gotcha. I love it. Keep bringing it up because what it shows is that on the one hand, I'm capable of change, capable of integrating new facts as they occur, and keep reminding the entire world what a two-faced son of a bitch Bernie Sanders was, is, and seemingly will always be. Bernie Sanders, when he ran for the primaries in 2015, was anti-interventionist, anti-war, seemingly anti-big pharma. He was had a lot of commonalities with Donald Trump at the time. He then turned into a bend over backwards, bend the knee, kiss the ring, go endorse the woman who screwed you out of the primaries, coward, traitor, bastard. And that is exactly when my support for Bernie Sanders stopped, and he's only made matters worse in the last decade. You just won't believe it. 15 minutes cities for you, private jets for him. And he's unapologetic about it because, what do you expect? You expect me to wait in line at American Airlines? I'll get treated like that guy at Frontier. I'll be late. And then we're going to talk about RFK Jr., who did an interview with Stossel a while back. It's going to dovetail into some other stuff, vax stuff and all the good stuff. Now, news of the day, there's a new pope in town, literally. I do not have an opinion. I will not have an opinion. I will just judge the tweets for what they are. Superficial political activism. Maybe it's to be expected of a pope, that a pope should be open borders, believe that you should welcome all immigrants. The pope actually used the term in a tweet from way back in the day. It wasn't even undocumented immigrants. It was irregular immigration status. And not to mischaracterize, it wasn't he who said it. He reposted a tweet of someone else who had a statement on some court processes which referred to illegal aliens as irregular immigration status. I don't have an opinion on it. I'm not looking to other people for telling you what to think. No, but to that, I'm interested in what the likes of Charlie Kirk has to say about this. Let's hear it, Charlie.
Hey, everybody, there is a new pope, and the pope is from Chicago. What do we actually know about this new pope? Well, the pope is from Chicago. I am as well. He served in Peru.
Nice.
By the way, I'm not Catholic, by the way. I'm evangelical, but it still matters who the pope is.
I don't know what that distinction means. Call me a naive boob. I've been called worse. It took me a very long time to understand the differences between Catholics and Protestants in terms of why my wife's grandparents were blacklisted after they got married. One was, I want to say Irish Catholic, and I know that one was Protestant, and it was like the excommunication from the church at the time. So Charlie Kirk is not Catholic, but evangelical, and I'll look to the chat to explain to me what that means.
In Peru. By the way, I'm not Catholic, by the way. I'm evangelical, but it still matters who the pope is. He is a registered Republican and voted in Republican primaries and ran a pro-life group at Villanova University, so that's a good sign. Also has some, let's just say, not so great tweets about having some willingness for open borders. We'll see kind of how he is on that. Also some George Floyd stuff that I'm not too crazy about. But overall, it seems like he's a pro-life warrior. There's a lot yet to learn about this pope, but I hope that he will be a strong advocate for strong borders and for sovereignty. The first ever American pope. You're going to wonder, why is it that they picked an American pope? Could be a coincidence, could be nothing, or is it they want a voice that is also for the opening of American borders while we have President Trump?
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? Let's see. But by the way, borders are biblical. Close your borders. Love your people. You should, of course, love everyone. The best way to love them is to have them make their countries great.
It is an interesting thing. Love thy neighbor means that you have a neighbor. You don't have a neighbor if your house is open to everybody. Write that down. That's actually a damn good thought. I don't often say smart things, but that one was smart. Love thy neighbor implies, like Charlie says, borders. It implies walls. It implies doors. Because if everything is open for everyone and no one owns anything and there are no borders and there are no individual countries, you don't have a neighbor. Canada doesn't have a neighbor to the south without a border. Okay. That was actually kind of good.
And our God is a God of order, a God of structure, and does not want millions of people who we do not know coming into our country in the dilution of sovereignty. So there's a new pope, a lot more to learn about it. And congratulations to all Catholics who are excited about it. Some people are saying he's super liberal. We know he was a registered Republican. Time will tell. And we'll keep all Christians in our prayers, Catholics included, that this is for the betterment of humanity.
Apparently, from what I understand, and I hope I'm not wrong, but if I am wrong, I reserve the right to be wrong because it's the fog of papal nominations. Registered Republican, from what I've read, and chat, do correct me if I'm wrong, apparently he didn't vote in the elections when Trump was running. What's quite obvious is if he's not anti-Trump, he's been publicly critical of Trump and Vance. That is what Charlie Kirk has to say about it. That was the most Canadian about it. That's what Charlie Kirk has to say about it. And Jack Poso, who I believe was actually in Rome at the Vatican. Either that or he's got one hell of a blue screen behind him, a green screen. What the hell's a blue screen? This is what Jack Posobiec has to say about it. Not much substance because it's all breaking and everybody's just trying to get the news out. We're going to go through some of those tweets. This is Poso. And I also defer to Poso as an authority on this, along with Kirk and along with others, people who are I guess, Christian, but not necessarily Catholic, and people who are more religious than me.
An absolute shocking pick. The first American Pope. This is not something that anyone saw coming. This is not something that anyone suspected. Down here on the ground, first impressions, absolute shock. Absolute, utter shock.
Look how cool that is.
The question is, how much of this was prepared in advance? How much of this came to be during the conclave? We're going to work our sources. We're going to find out everything that happened behind those closed doors. They turned the Sistine Chapel into a Faraday cage to elect this man, now Pope Leo XIII. God save the church.
I don't know. That was one hell of a dramatic pause, Jack. What the hell just went on there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
God save the church.
I don't know if that pause was a dramatic pause because Jack thus far is unimpressed with the appointment. But that was a dramatic pause. So that's what Jack has to say. That's what Charlie Kirk has to say. I have to say nothing except I was running and screen grabbing and bookmarking because we must bookmark lest it be memory hold and then you'll never know. I'm going to pull them up in random orders, but when I say that I went back to the beginning, I went back to the beginning. And if it doesn't say in the tweet that I'm pulling up that it was reposted by Pope Leo, what was his name? Dr. Prévost. If it doesn't say that it was reposted by Prévost, it was. That's the only reason why I found it, because I went through his timeline. But when you archive link them, or not archive, when you pull them up in, what's it called? I don't know, whatever, incognito, whatever. It doesn't show the repost. This one is clearly his post. And this is Dr. Prévost. If we go to the Prévost, I cannot believe he is a French Canadian. Robert Prévost, Dr. Prévost. Does it tell us who he is when we do this? There you go. Cattolico Augustino Obispo. Wow, he had 40,000. He had 48,000 followers when I first started going through his timeline this morning. Cardinal Dolan, why Donald Trump's anti-immigration rhetoric is so problematic. This one is 10 years old. People are entitled to change. Within the last 10 years, America has changed a little bit. Within the last 10 years, maybe he has seen the error of his ways of open borders, open immigration, and the devastation that it has wreaked in terms of social cohesion and interreligious strife across the world, but in the West in particular. Also, reposting a Washington Post article is problematic in terms of judgment, but that was a decade ago, and people are within their rights to change within a decade, in as much as I changed in my support for that rat bastard Bernie Sanders in the last decade. Okay, that was one. Number two, this is a guy named Rocco Palamo, who is, why would anyone put their email address in their Twitter profile? In reaction, I guess reacts on DACA. This one was from 2017. This dude, the way he tweets is very, very confusing. In reaction on DACA repeal, cards blaze Mahoney and Wilton back dreamers dub White House move heartless betrayal profoundly regrettable. And it's an article that's a statement from Cardinal Kupich on the rescission of DACA. Today, President Trump ended the DACA, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, and the dreams of nearly 1 million young people covered by the executive order and applying for inclusion. In the past, the president stated that the Dreamer story, quote, is about the heart, end quote, yet today's decision is nothing short of heartless. The Dreamers are now left in a 6-month limbo during which Congress is supposed to pass comprehensive immigration reform, a feat they've been unable to achieve for a decade. In fact, the inability to agree on a just immigration system led President Obama to sign the executive order protecting minor children brought to this country by their parents. But also brought by other people. Also brought by, what are they called? Coyotes. Now that we know that there is a massive human trafficking problem, and in particular a child trafficking problem, maybe the Pope has evolved in his views over the last 8 years. The road to hell is paved in good intentions, and I know that someone in the chat's going to be smart and say, Viva, that's not the true biblical expression. The road to hell is paved in good intentions, and wanting to open up your country to the plight of other people, like Germany did for the Syrians, oddly enough, opening their borders because of the refugees that are resulting from a war that the West has initiated or exacerbated. It's a very interesting thing to need to respond to the consequences of the crises that you cause by way of your foreign policy. Set that conundrum aside. You can have an open heart and a warm heart and want to be good. But if in so doing you understand, and understand is the word, not think, suspect, have fears of, understand that you are facilitating a human trafficking trade, a child trafficking trade, and there are 300 and some odd thousand children that have gone missing, despite your best intentions of wanting to accommodate all of the ills of the world, which is impossible, you are in fact contributing to human trafficking. Maybe he's second guessed or second thought or evolved on that as well. That's another one. Let's see what this one is here. This one might be an indication. This was what he reposted from the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops. Cardinal DiNardo condemns the violence and hatred happening in Charlottesville. This is from 2017. When did I thought Charlottesville happened later because Biden said I had to run for president because of what? No, hold on a second. Then it would be 2016, 2017. Biden said he had to run for president when he saw what happened in Charlottesville, but maybe it's what happened 3 years earlier. Timing might make sense. This shows a propensity of the bishop to repost tweets from activist agencies that might make tweets in the fog of war or resulting from being propagandized, because we now appreciate that the Pope also reads the Washington Post. On behalf of the bishops of the United States, I join leaders from around the nation in condemning the violence and hatred that have now led to 1 death and multiple injuries in Charlottesville, Virginia. Cardinal Daniel DiNardo. Did he condemn the Summer of Love resulting from George Floyd? No, he didn't. And you'll actually see why he didn't on that one, because he was buying into the propaganda that George Floyd was a saint who needs to be deified when he was actually an unrepentant criminal, a drug addict, and I say that non-judgmentally. We'll get to that one in a second. This is another one from the USBC that he reposted. Full statement, President Cardinal DiNardo on Charlottesville. This is another one about Charlottesville. Actually, I want to read this. On behalf of the bishops of the United States, I join leaders from around the world in condemning the violence and hatred that have now led to 1 death and multiple injuries in Charlottesville, Virginia. We offer our prayers to the family and loved ones of the person who was killed, and for all those who have been injured. We join our voices to all those calling for calm. The abhorrent acts of hatred on display in Charlottesville are an attack on the unity of our nation, and therefore summon us all to fervent prayer and peaceful action. Well, I guess the Summer of Love didn't really listen to that prayer, now did they? The bishops stand with all who are oppressed by evil ideology and entrust all who suffer to the prayers of St. Peter Claver as we approach his feast day. We also stand ready to work with people of goodwill for an end to racial violence and for the building of peace in our communities. It's an amazing thing where if you appreciate that propagating these either myths or these fake narratives actually cause to further racial divide, you may think that you're making a post for racial unity, but in fact contributing to racial division. Set that aside. Last year, a task force of our bishops' conference under Archbishop Wilton Gregory proposed prayers and resources to work for unity and harmony in our country and in our church. I'm encouraging the bishops to continue that work, especially for the Feast of St. Peter Claver's approaches. Okay, that was that one. There was one about George Floyd that I definitely want to bring up here. Is it this one? Cripe. Well, I'm not sure that I have it. I'll bring up all the ones that I flagged as being potentially interesting. Calling on refugees. This is another one that seems to imply not respecting borders or thinking borders need to be opened. Rocco Palmo. The world is watching as we abandon our commitment to American values. And then you read down here, the United States has a long history of welcoming refugees who are fleeing for their lives, and Catholic organizations have helped resettle many families, yada, yada, yada. It's time to put aside fear and join together to recover. Okay, more open border stuff. Just going to save these for posterity. And then there was this one over here, which condemns the executive order. U.S. Bishops Committee on Migration Chair strongly oppose executive order because it harms vulnerable refugee and immigrant families. This is another one he reposted. This was in respect of January 27, 2017. Executive order, halt on reduction of admissions. Bishop Joe S. Vasquez of Austin, Texas, Chairman, stated, we strongly disagree with the executive orders halting refugee admissions. We believe that now more than ever, welcoming newcomers and refugees is an act of love and hope. See if he's evolved on those views, given what we've seen the Biden administration do, and what we've seen are the consequences of unbridled open borders. Well, I definitely had another one that had George Floyd. It was because I put it in response to a tweet from Charlie Kirk. Hold on one second. Let me bring this one up here. And there we go. I say this without judgment. These are the ones that had some interesting tweets on them. Screen grabbed for posterity just because there was this one. Okay. We saw this one as well. Charlottesville. And this one. We are heartbroken, sickened, and outraged to watch another video of an African-American man being killed before our very eyes. This is the latest wake-up call that needs to be answered by each of us in a spirit of determined conversation. Bishop Sheldon J. Faber, Archbishop Nelson Perez. And that was, again, quoted by the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, which we understand why he's requoting or reposting. Bishop Michael Olson reposted that and said, I join my voice in prayers to those of my brothers bishops that we might work hard to end racism in our hearts and in society. May God give comfort to the family of George Floyd in this time of anguish. And Robert Prévost republished that one. So those are the internet footprints left by the new Pope. And the question is going to be, what is this an indication of going forward? Is he still currently an open border Pope? Is he still currently a man who buys into the mainstream media propaganda? Because if you are unironically referencing the Washington Post, there's a problem of judgment in terms of who one trusts and who one doesn't. The statements that we must all fight the racism in our hearts presupposes that there was an act of racism there and that there is racism in people's hearts. And I am inclined to believe that most people do not have racism in their hearts. And those who have what you would call racism in their hearts are just assholes. And it's not racism in any meaningful sense. It's assholes being assholes, and they will find a reason to hate others, and they will find a reason to hate their friends, and they will find a reason to hate themselves, because that's where it all ultimately stems from. That's the new Pope. What does the chat have to say about the new Pope and their thoughts on the new Pope? Let me go over here into the donation section and say this. Kingsley Oliver says, God is a God of borders. I read these with no judgment, no necessary approval. Casey J. Gates says, give love, get love, Viva, says Quartering Raiders. Those who are rating from the Quartering, thank you very much. I know Jeremy's got his own coffee brand. I don't remember what it's called. I actually think it's called Coffee Brand Coffee or Brand Coffee.
It's coffee. Coffee Brand Coffee is correct.
Well, I'm not promoting the competitor's coffee, but Jeremy has a good coffee. I like my 1775 coffee, but everyone can be supported in their own ways. And by the way, you can never get too much coffee. Get coffee, get it as a gift. Coffee is great. Coffee is good. Coffee, I was going to have an iced coffee before the show, but my wife actually drank it, so probably for the better anyhow. Thank you very much for everyone coming from the Quartering. And Jeremy, thank you very much. Some bastard was bad-mouthing Jeremy on Tim Pool last night. Who was? The guy looks like the guy who, right to jail guy. And I'm not going to give any flack. I mean, it's all fun in internet games, and I don't. Thank you, Jeremy. Ordering everybody. Make sure they hear you.
So Jeremy created a wonderful custom discount code for Elad for that wonderful shout out last night. Well, 20% off on coffeebrandcoffee.com.
What is it? Is it the promo code is Elad?
Yes, it is.
Well, it's a good thing the sponsor of today's show is Smile by The Wellness Company. Thank you very much, The Wellness Company. You all know what to do, what you want to do, and it's your own money. Do it. Forced name change says Bannon called this new Pope a week ago. Bannon's opinion is he's too progressive and called him one of the four horsemen. That's one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse, correct? I know that from a Johnny Cash song.
Yes, that is correct. And there's a number of prophecies specifically around this particular Pope.
Yeah, I don't put much stock in prophecies because there's a lot of people making prophecies, and when one of them comes true, they're like, "Holy crap, he called it!" But when they don't, then they're like, "Oh yeah," and then they just forget about all their bad prophecies. Are we doing this in Cryptus? Am I going to play the Kanye West song? I'm not playing all of it.
I think you should. I think you should play part of it because
do I get canceled for even playing posting a tweet from Elijah, who was posting it from another account? Has everybody seen what's his face is Kanye West? I haven't seen the whole song yet. All that I can tell you, I understand what Kanye's doing here. Hold on. This was not.
Look at the locals chat right now at the latest meme that's in there as you do this.
I can't bring up two screens at the same time, but let me just go ahead and see what the new memes are. Let me see here. Is this the one here? Be kind to each other. Okay, the crucifixion meme, which says, "What did he say that upset everyone so much?" He said, "Be kind to each other." Oh yeah, that'll do it.
No, that's not the one I'm talking about.
Let me see. I'm going to know which one you're talking about by looking at it.
Oh yes, you will.
Pope Leo. Hold on. Let me go to the bottom. All that to say, Viva, are you suggesting he's just another rope-a-dope Pope? Says Roostank. I've seen the memes also. Let's have illegal immigrants. Is this it? Hunt down sex offenders for a chance.
How about this? It is the last DM in the messages, so you can pull up our DMs right now.
DM is what? On Twitter?
Yep, on your screen right now.
Yeah, but hold on. No, I'm going to play this song first. This is not supposed to be on the menu for tonight. I'm not playing the whole thing. I'm just going to go to the intro and then a portion of the, what is it called? The part that repeats in a song, the chorus. This is Kanye's new song. The goal was to get people to walk around the house singing this song and not understanding the lyrics that they're saying. This is what you call brainwashing people. Soft, slow, very melodical.
Man, these people took my kids from me, then they froze my bank account. I got so much anger in me, got no way to take it out. Think I'm stuck in a matrix, when I fuck's my nitrous. I am a cook, I like when people fuck on my bitch. Shit that I post on Twitter, they telling me, yeah, don't say that.
Okay, so that's the intro. I'm not playing the whole thing, but you'll understand what Kanye is doing, and then you'll agree or disagree with it.
She wanna fuck with Japan. I put the crumb on the bench. She reaching down in my pants. She got the world in her hands.
That's it. And that's going to be in your heads for a very long time, whether you like it or hate it. And it might be in your heads for longer if you hate it. That is Kanye's new work. I'll share the tweet that came from that shared that one with everybody. But it's a very interesting thing. Music is music. Lyrics are something else. And playing rap, good time to refresh my browser, says Resident Bedouin. It's well, I know what he's trying to do. When you make a song that has a troupe, a group of dancers or whatever, of black men saying the N-word and then the HH word, the honk honk, what you are, I know what he thinks he's probably doing, which is actually depriving the Heil Hitler of any tangible meaning when you have a bunch of men, African-American black men, saying the N-word, then the HH word, and you're going to say, like, what does it mean anymore? It can't possibly be racist because we have now co-opted what Hitler himself co-opted by way of swastika from Indian heritage, and you know, I understand what he's doing. Either that, or he's just trying to be deliberately provocative because that's what he's decided to do, or he's, you know, some will say mentally unwell. Honk honk is, everybody knows, if you've listened to Canadian politicians, that honk honk is the alliteration for Heil Hitler. That's what, when people were saying honk honk at the Ottawa protest, even though what they were saying was honk honk, let's honk some horns, it was white supremacy, far-right nationalism. Now, Encrypts, I do got to go see what is the DM that you're going to have sent. That's going to be the... Yeah, I'm not bringing that up ever. If you want to see it, by the way, you can go join vivabarneslaw.locals.com.
You know who posted it?
Say it again.
You know who posted it? V. Hansis posted it.
If you want to see it, you can go over to our locals community. We've got not an eclectic, we've got a diverse crowd on vivabarneslaw.locals.com. Some who would appreciate that humor and others who I'm sure do not appreciate that humor. That is the controversial part of today's show. We got a new pope. Kanye released his song. Now you understand. There's something very juvenile and trite about making a song about your Twitter and Instagram posts. But as far as just music goes, the sound of the song, set aside the lyrics, it's standard chord progression in Western music structure. So that's it. Oh, let's be honest, 55, you think it's stupid? Okay, hold on. I'll show you how stupid it is. Hold on. I got to bring up the actual woman. I forget her name now. I know that I have been ruthless on her on Twitter. She's in here. It is right here. Bada boom, bada boom. Look how. I almost shared the screen with that meme, which would undoubtedly have gotten me canceled.
Hail Hitler. How much vitriol do we have to see of honk honk, which is an acronym for Hail Hitler?
Hail Hitler. Come on, go.
Who is that? Yeah, that's Uncle Hack. Yeah, so that was, I forget her name now. She's Yara Sachs. And I believe that she's actually blocked me on Twitter now, if I'm not mistaken. Yara Sachs is a member of Canadian Parliament. And I was going to say that she's not allowed blocking me, but I think she is because I am technically not a Canadian resident. Although I'm still Canadian, I just don't reside in Canada. Yara Sachs, and now it doesn't even come up when they block you. So yeah, that's a Canadian MP, Hong Kong. What did she call it? An alliteration? It's not even the right word. Idiots. Oh, people know who Uncle Hack is. At M. Falter Sack, his name is Viva. Who's in the chat that doesn't know who I am? Did I not do the intro? Viva Fry, former Montreal litigator turned current Florida Rumbler. Daily live streams, 4 o'clock. Pre-recorded interviews. Short clips go on CommuTube. The weekly lineup is exclusive to Rumble. The Sunday night show, Viva and Barnes Law Extravaganza. Sunday night, 6 o'clock, across all platforms. Let's get into Bernie Sanders. What a segue. What a lead-in. Bernie Sanders is the most two-faced son of a bitch on earth. I was going to start the show with Bernie Sanders and the moment that he was literally destroyed. The moment that Bernie Sanders literally saw, I mean, at some point you become such a son of a bitch POS villain that you just give up. Like, well, shit, there's no coming back from this, so I may as well go full evil. I may as well go full champagne socialist. This might have been that moment when Bernie Sanders said, fuck it. They now know there's no coming back from this, and there is no salvaging what little dignity I ever had left in my disgusting champagne socialist, 3-home owning, multi-millionaire guy. There's nothing wrong with being a multi-millionaire, by the way. There is when you want to tap the billionaires. We're going to listen to this. Listen to RFK Jr. suck his soul out of his body. It's the moment from The Simpsons. Like, you can literally pinpoint the moment when his entire legacy was shredded.
I'm going to make America healthier than other countries in the world right now.
Will you guarantee do what every other major country?
Will you guarantee? Let me shake my hands and tell you. I'm going to shut my mouth. I'm sorry. But Bernie Sanders makes me want to talk.
I'm going to make America healthier than other countries in the world right now.
Will you guarantee do what every other major country does? It's a simple question.
And by the way, Bernie, the problem of corruption is not just in the federal agencies, it's in Congress too. Almost all the members of this panel are accepting, including yourself, are accepting millions of dollars from the pharmaceutical industry.
Right now is when you would hear the what you say, it's all the... Anybody who knows. That's the moment when Bernie's reputation was destroyed. But his reaction actually made it worse. So, what you say?
I'm going to make
America
press pharmaceutical industry.
Oh, no. I thought that would... No. I ran for president like you. I got millions and millions of contributions. They did not come from the executives, not one nickel of PAC money from the pharmaceutical industry. They came from workers.
In 2020, you were the single largest
because I had
pharmaceutical money
from workers all over this country. Workers,
you were the
not a nickel from corporate
PACs.
PACs.
You were the single largest acceptor of pharmaceutical dollars.
No, from workers in
1.5 million.
Yeah, out of 200 million. All right, but you have not answered. Last question.
You're done, Bernie. You shut your face. I did not take any from executives. Well, first of all, you took it from employees, and there was some from executives. I think I even put together a video with the receipts, and then he returned the donation from the executives, as if that would make a freaking difference, because individuals can only contribute so much. As if we don't know how the donation laundering works. What's that? You work at a pharma company? Hey guys, here's who you should be donating to now. We can't do it. I did not take any money from back. We know how the donation money laundering scheme works. But Bernie Sanders, in addition to being now a confirmed pharma whore, him and Elizabeth Warren, but it's more politically correct to refer to an old man as a whore than an old woman pretending to be Native American. But no, his hypocrisy goes even beyond that. I came across people who were apparently quoting Bernie Sanders saying, "I'm not waiting in line." And I was like, there's no way that Bernie Sanders actually said, "I'm not waiting in line. I got no apologies." Because I'm going on a cross-country, get this, for those of you who don't know, he and AOC, the other champagne socialist, such fucking hypocrites they are. Such hypocrites. Gallivanting across the country on their, what is it called? Fight oligarchy tour or anti-oligarchy tour? Whatever the hell it's called, it's in the article. They're gallivanting across the country, the two climate crisis extremists, because that's what they are. The ones that said, AOC, we have 12 years left, but we're not in a panic enough yet to eat the babies. AOC didn't realize she was getting trolled by that woman who said, we have to eat babies. It's not enough what we're doing. AOC, 12 years left, gallivanting across the country on a private jet for a anti-oligarchy tour. And I shit you not, people, this is what they're doing. This is from ABC 3340. What is this? This is the article. It's everywhere. You can check it out. First of all, when is this picture from? Always yelling, always pointing his fingers. When you point the finger at someone, there are three pointing right back at you. Except the thumb. That one's pointing to the side, depending on where you're pointing your thumb. Bernie Sanders gives no apologies. Okay, hold on. Sorry. Whenever I read a quote that comes directly from Bernie Sanders, it's going to be in his voice. Bernie Sanders gives no apologies over private jet traveling for Fighting Oligarchy. That's what it's called. I'm sorry, it's not the Oligarchy Tour. It's the Fighting Oligarchy Tour. Senator Bernie Sanders joined Fox News on Wednesday, during which he defended his use of a private jet travel for his Fighting Oligarchy Tour. The senator and Rep. AOC have crossed the country holding rallies against Donald Trump and Department Governor Doge Elon Musk. Campaign reports revealed Senator Sanders, it's not my money. It's the donors' money. They're giving me the $220,000 on air travel for the tour, which drew ire from some Republicans last month. The fact that it hasn't drawn ire from all Republicans means that there are a bunch of so-called Republicans with a mangina that they need to wipe off and grow a pair. It also shows that if it hasn't drawn the ire of the Democrats, it shows that the Democrats are a bunch of freaking two-faced hypocrites. Private jets for me, 15-minute cities for thee. The senator said, however, he would not apologize for his air travel. When was the last time you saw Donald Trump during the campaign mode at a national airport? He asked. You run a campaign and you do 3 or 4 or 5 rallies in a week. The only way you could get around to talk to 30,000 people. Think about me sitting and waiting. Oh, God, hold on. Think about me sitting at a waiting line at United. Senator Sanders ended. No apologies for that. That's what campaign travel is about. That's what we've done in the past, what we're going to do in the future. We're in a climate crisis. We need to reduce our carbon footprint. We need to cripple economies to reduce emissions. But this two-faced son of a bitch thinks he gets to fly around the country because that's how you talk. You know how you talk to 30,000 people? Zoom, you frickin' idiot. But that's not in person. Then I don't get to be treated like a rock star if I do it on Zoom. I can't see the crowds when I'm on Zoom. And by the way, I'm not even saying that you shouldn't do it. You should be able to do it. Although I still think he should not be flying on a private jet. Take the frickin' train, Bernie. It's actually kind of beautiful. One of my things that I wanted to do before that commie hellhole chased me out under the threat of vaccinating my children, I wanted to take a train across Canada. Although I think I might go crazy on a train. I mean, in terms of like not being able to exercise. Do they have treadmills on trains? Oh, here. Oh, let's play it. Let's play it.
You know, Alyssa Slotkin, senator from Michigan, she said you shouldn't be using oligarchs.
You're going to wait at an airport like a filthy pleb? What do you think I'm going to do? Get a Dunkin' Donuts sandwich at an airport? That's like $8. That's overpriced. I want my private jet. I want my private champagne. And I want my handcrafted, organic, sourdough bread, bagels on the airplane. That's funny stuff.
You've gotten criticized from other people. Free Beacon says Bernie Sanders spent $221,000 on private jets fighting the oligarchy tour, paid for by friends of Bernie Sanders. That you've spent millions of dollars in campaign funds on private jet travel over the years. How do you push back on both of those things?
When's the last time you saw Donald Trump during a campaign mode at National Airport?
No. It doesn't.
Hey, Bernie. How many times? I'm not even going to say what I was going to say. That someone might misconstrue that. You know what I'm thinking.
That he's also not fighting the oligarchy.
No,
that's right.
You run a campaign and you do 3 or 4 or 5 rallies in a week. The only way you can get around to talk to 30,000 people. Think I'm going to be sitting on a waiting line at United, waiting? 30,000 people are waiting. That's the only way you can get around. No apologies for that. That's what campaign travel is about. We've done it in the past. We're going to do it in the future.
And you think that this is hitting a mark? You think it's scratching the itch that voters want to hear from?
I think at a time when the people on top are doing phenomenally well, when seniors, working class people are struggling,
I'm going to take their money and I'm going to fly around the country on it. $220,000. I'm asking you again for more contributions.
Want to hear action to stand up to the people who have the wealth and the power and create an economy that works for all of us, not just the people on top.
Not just the people on top. In order to do that, I'm going to get the money from the people on the bottom so that I can fly on a private jet across the country at $220,000. You know how many kids that could feed, Bernie? You know how many birds you're killing? My goodness, how dare you? Where the hell is Greta Thunberg when you need her? Greta Thunberg should go to Bernie and give him the hardest, how dare you? Oh gosh. By the way, this is amazing. It's amazing. Hold on. Hold on. Keep it there. There they are. I even have the glasses. You guys want to get scared? And there you have it, people. These are actually wickedly cool frames that are Makita, and I've had them for a long time. I should probably get good lenses to put in those things, but I think these look objectively terrible, right? Like, chat, are these the ugliest? Not to be judgmental of Makita, they make good products.
No, actually, you look kind of sharp that way.
You know what's really cool about these? They have no moving parts on them, so there's no screws.
How about this in the chat? Can we get a 1 for like the glasses, 2 for no?
Well, the other thing, the problem was that these were super thin lenses, and my lenses have gotten a little bit more higher prescription, and I can't use the super thin stuff anymore. Geez, you know what? I think I'm gonna one. What was one? One was yes or no?
One is yes. Look at that.
Dude, I think I'm gonna go get some lenses for these things then.
Look at that.
They're titanium. They can't break.
There's like 3 out of 100 that are 2s.
Okay, well, I'm going to go to Stanton Optical, see what they can do. Or maybe I'll go to, you know what, I'm just going to go to, there's no lens crafters nearby. I'll go to Walmart, has a pretty kick-ass glass. Okay, fine. It's done. I'm going to have new glasses the next time you see me. It will not be the next time you see me. These lenses take a long time to make. Viva, considering your Semitic genetics, I just assumed you were full of Bolshevik. That said, you look nothing like Bernie Sanders. Well, give it time, people. It's not even a Jewish thing. Over a long enough period of time, everyone ends up looking the same. And within obviously racial demographics, but then even from biological demographics, we all certainly end up looking the same. The only question is, what have we done on this planet while we were here, and where are we going afterwards? I guess it depends on what we've done here and what we're doing here. But look, we're not yet done talking about stupid people, and I feel bad picking on stupid people. But I would stop picking on stupid people if they would shut their big, stupid mouths. Andrew Yang is one of them. Listen to this rationalizing, violating the environment. This is like, let's rationalize abusing Mother Nature. Let's rationalize being a godforsaken hypocrite, scoundrel of the highest order. I'm not going to make fun of Andrew Yang's voice. He has a perfectly normal voice. Bernie Sanders is 83 and had to be in multiple states in the same day. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. In that situation, you fly private. First of all, no, I wouldn't. Encryptus, you've done some of the research into this. Statistically, are there more fatal accidents on private jets than on commercial jets? I think absolutely. The answer is yes.
But it's also, we're talking about a statistical, like, it's a misrepresentation.
Yes, because they're smaller and there's more of them, and so there's going to be more likely. It doesn't matter. Exactly. La Bamba died on a plane crash. Lou Diamond Phillips, not him, but Richie, what was his name? Richie Vallon. Yeah, I remember watching that. Well, I watched that movie as a kid. I was very upset after I saw that movie. Sorry, I'm not yet done roasting.
Leonard Skinner, Aaliyah.
Were they all on the same plane?
Leonard Skinner and Aaliyah? No.
Okay, they all died in plane crashes.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Sorry. I didn't think they were all in the same plane, because that's what I was asking. I was fact-checking you. So Andrew Yang says, yeah, if you're 83, you fly private. If you're 83 and you schedule multiple states in the same day, how about you not do that? He's 83. What the hell else does he have to do? Watch Matlock? Each Matlock can be our last. Let them eat cake. I need a private plane. They need 15-minute cities. It's an environmental crisis, but I've got a rally to attend. Get bent, Andrew Yang. Get bent is what I say when I don't sincerely hate the person. Go fuck yourself is what I say when I genuinely hate the person. Andrew Yang, he's every now and again, he's got the flickerings of a reasonable person. And then he goes ahead and opens his mouth. Bada bing, bada boom. But that's Andrew Yang. I don't loathe him because he says reasonable things from time to time, but that wasn't one of them. That's Bernie Sanders. What was this one? Oh, this was my clip of him. Is this one that, oh yeah, this is one that had the receipts in it. How do I forget my own homework? Listen to this.
Almost all the members of this panel are accepting, including yourself, are accepting millions of dollars from the pharmaceutical industry.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
I thought that would, no. I ran for president like you. I got millions.
Look how red his face is. That is commie red. Like that. His face is so red. He went full commie.
Millions of contributions. They did not come from the executives.
Pause it. Lynn McCroy from Pfizer, who was identified as the vice president of global medical lead for breast cancer, made several donations to Sanders' campaign, including contributions and $500 into. Now, some people say that was before his undertaking not to take contributions from executives. All right, Shifen Wong, listed as an executive director, global evidence and value development at EMD Serrano, donated $1,000 to Sanders. EMD Serrano is a part of Merck. Austin Kim, Executive Vice President, General Counsel, and Secretary of Acadia Pharmaceuticals, contributed $250. However, Acadia is not listed on Sanders' pledge list as it is not a member of the pharmaceutical research. See, I got a good excuse for keeping that one. And that was it. Okay. That's the homework on Bernie. Oh, let me cough. Excuse me. So that's Bernie. Let me go back to the chat and see if we're missing anything here. Kiki Blue in the house. Richie Valens, Buddy Holly, and Big Bopper all on the same plane. Yep. And the best drummer of all time in the history of humanity until AI can do better. Travis Barker was on a plane, and by the grace of God, he survived, despite two of the people on that plane not surviving. Yeah, I'm flying commercial every time, even if it means flying Spirit. I will not fly. What was that called? Frontier. I'm joking. I probably will anyhow. Jay Decory 2012 says, Encryptus, I sent you a video in your DM, and Viva, it is not the plane. It is the pilot. Sanders is just trying out for the CCP. It's not the plane. It's the pilot. Oh, in terms of the safety, I guess. And he's just trying out for what? The Communist Chinese Party or the... Whatever. Richie Valens, Buddy Holly. Okay, we got that one. King of Biltong. Hold on, I'm going to get yours, Biltong, in a second so I can bring it up with the beautiful live color of the chat on Rumble. Biltong is in the house. Eat at Anton's is his channel. South African man who escaped to the free state of America. Well, he's in the almost pretty free state of Texas. King of Biltong says, want to add more protein in your diet? Add some healthy, high-protein Biltong packed with B12, creatine, iron, zinc. A great addition to a healthy diet. BiltongUSA.com. Code VIVA for 10% off. And for those of you who don't know what it is, it's like beef jerky, but it's more like prosciutto made out of beef. Freaking delicious. And he's got some other great products. I love it. I eat it. It's delicious. And then we got Decory over there. Then we got this. The timing is not a coincidence. Today is Victory in Europe Day. Chet Chisholm, what's that about? Okay, we got the rest of these I got. All right. Well, speaking of Chet Chisholm, who's my man up in Canada, who gives me a lot of useful information. Yesterday, I talked about that press conference for the 2 missing children in Nova Scotia and cut the intro of that police lady, RCMP woman, doing a land acknowledgement and recognizing that the African Nova Scotians are a distinct group of people who have contributed to the enrichment of Nova Scotia for over 400 years. We were in fact talking about Black Canadians, loyalists. There are Black Canadians. The idea that politically correct, virtue signaling buffoon would take the opportunity of a press conference about 2 missing children to do a land acknowledgement and then praise the enrichment that, quote, African Nova Scotians, who are a, quote, distinct group of people, offensive and racist, period. Canadians are Canadians, and the idea that you would look at a Canadian and say, you're an African Nova Scotian, you are a distinct group of people. Have we resorted to separate but equal again, but we've rationalized it under the pretext of woke? That is woke, by the way. Not an example of. Woke is the idea of progressivism, when it's actually regressivism for the purposes of virtue signaling. Defying all logic for the purposes of virtue signaling and progressivism to the point of regressivism. After I talked about that, posted it, and that clip caught the attention of many, many thousands of people who quote tweeted it on the interwebs, I then had to look into a very interesting fact, which Chet also sensitized me to. Chet is up in Canada. He's like, Viva, Nova Scotia is rough and tumble in some places. And human trafficking is a big problem in Nova Scotia. I had no idea how big of a problem it was in Nova Scotia. I had no idea how disparately overrepresented, how statistically overrepresented Nova Scotia is in terms of human trafficking compared to the rest of Canada. And it led me down a rabbit hole that has given me many more questions than answers. Tickling my throat. Hold on one second. Excuse me. Now, this stat is a slightly outdated, allegedly, but this was from the rcmp.ca, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police website. Human trafficking is a crime that involves recruiting, transporting, or controlling a person, typically for sexual exploitation or forced labor. According to Statistics Canada, Nova Scotia had the highest rate of police-reported human trafficking incidents in Canada in 2019, 5.3 incidents per 100,000. That's a lot, first of all. I mean, that's a lot, period. What's even more interesting about that, however, is, let me just get this over here. The number seems to have gone down, but what's interesting, somewhat, if you believe the numbers or just how they report them, down in 2024, according to CBC, recent figures from Statistics Canada say incidents of human trafficking in Nova Scotia declined in the past year, but people in the province dealing with the issue say the figures do not tell the whole story. StatCan report released in December says Nova Scotia recorded 4.5 incidents of human trafficking per 100,000 in 2022, a decrease from 5.3 in 2021. The number is the highest in the country and well above the national average of 1.4 incidents per 100,000. Ontario, the province with the second highest rate, 2.3. So it is twice the high, actually more, if you believe the stats, but twice as high as the next second highest province, which itself is roughly twice as high as the national average. So the question is this: what in the name of sweet holy hell is going on in Nova Scotia? And it's a sincere question. I want to know, what is it about Nova Scotia that accounts for it having a wildly overrepresented stat for human trafficking? Is it demographics? I'm not sure if anyone wants to blame it on immigration, you would think if that's the case, then you'd find it more in the provinces that have much more, maybe not statistically more migration, Ontario, British Columbia. Maybe it's reported. And so whatever the human trafficking is as a result of open borders is not being reported, so you don't have those stats. Maybe it's poverty. The maritime provinces are notoriously impoverished, and no thanks to the federal government and no thanks to their respective provincial governments. Maybe it's its proximity to the ocean in terms of human trafficking. I don't know. But when you look at that stat in the context of the Nova Scotian missing children, in the context of that suicidal, empathetic, absolute insanity, that's Gad Sad's term so that no one accuses me of stealing it, you can ask some more questions. Now, the update on the missing children, and I say it's you get so flipping cynical that you wonder, why the hell would that cop start off a press conference for missing children, forget the land acknowledgement as much, but celebrating the enrichment of diversity, because that's what she was doing. Then you got to start asking some serious questions as to what might actually be going on with these missing children. It's unclear if they wandered off or if they were abducted. Thus far, by all accounts, I'm trying to get the most recent articles on this. The report is that they wandered out of the house and were not noticed until hours later. This is from CTV News, so you take it with a grain of salt. Encryptus, if you can find anything more recent that mentions any discussion about abduction, I can bring that up as well. They're volunteer and search for missing U.S. children. Caution against speculating on their fate. Police investigation is continuing into the disappearance of 2 young children reported missing last week from their home in northeastern Nova Scotia. On Wednesday, Robert McCammon, a senior crime investigator, confirmed detectives have been involved in the case since last Saturday, a day after 6-year-old Sullivan and 4-year-old Lily Sullivan and Jack Sullivan are believed to have wandered from their rural home in Lansdowne, Nova Scotia. They said detectives are always involved in missing person cases to determine if they are, quote, suspicious in nature. Search was scaled back when there was little chance the siblings could have survived after 6 days in the densely wooded area about 20 kilometers southwest of New Glasgow, Nova Scotia. Meanwhile, a volunteer who helped in the search is urging the public to avoid harmful speculation. Don't know what that means. Salvation Army Major Daniel Rood says some people have been unwisely speculating about the children's fate on social media, which he says is creating more stress in the surrounding communities. Still, Rood says he was reassured by residents who provided a steady stream of homemade meals that his team distributed to the hundreds of search and rescue volunteers tasked with combing through the kilometers of dense woodland. RCMP says the areas that have already been searched will receive a second look to make sure no clues have been overlooked. Not to get too pessimistic.
To speak about pessimistic, the latest CBC article is echoing many of the same things. You don't need to bring up the whole article, but take a look at the quote I just dropped in our private chat in Rumble Studio.
Rumble Studio. Police announced Wednesday that after 6 days of scouring the heavily wooded areas surrounding the home, there was no sign of the children, and it's not likely they are alive, says the article. The question is going to be whether or not they were abducted. I thought I read an article that said that the parents suspected or were thinking that they were abducted. Let me just see if I can find that. Do I put it in quotes? And no, either way, you just pray. There's ground search. Now I want to see where this was. I know that I saw something. Here we go. Let me bring this one up, just so that nobody thinks I'm making this stuff up, and make sure that I read it right. Abducted. Here. Okay, so in the days after the disappearance, let me read this. Okay, so Daniel Martel, the stepfather of the children, has said he believes Lily and Jack slipped out of their sliding back door while he and the children's mother were in their bedroom with their 1-year-old daughter. In the days after the disappearance, Martel has remained at the home, receiving daily updates from search and rescue officials and speaking to the reporters who descended upon the county of roughly 43,000 people. He has repeatedly said he believes the children were abducted, but RCMP have said there is no sign of that. On Thursday, Martel said that he was told that a crew would be searching a nearby lake. So I'm not going crazy. The stepfather repeatedly says he thinks they were abducted. RCMP, I will not cast aspersions on the RCMP, but when you see them acting in such a woke, incompetent manner, you can have your second thoughts. If you want to go look down the rabbit hole of the mass shooter in Nova Scotia in April 2020 and the RCMP's corruption, negligence, or potentially worse in that, you might not have faith in the RCMP at large, and you might have even less faith in statements that they make to deny what you believe to be the reality, at least what Martel says. Flip side is, some people might say, if God forbid anybody of the family had an involvement in it, diversion would be what they would want to create. And we don't even know what the RCMP thinks by way of potential suspects, because they haven't said anything during the press conference yesterday. They didn't say anything about it. He said his statements have also been taken from members. Okay, Martel said he spoke with investigators from the Major Crime Unit at the Stellarton RCMP detachment earlier this week, breaking down exactly what happened on the morning of the disappearance, minute by minute. He said statements have also been taken from members of his family who have been at the home over the past week to support him. I'm physically exhausted mentally and emotionally at this point, said Martel in an interview outside his home. Martel said he willingly handed his phone over to police. He said investigators have also searched the home and everything I own. They searched every rock, every root, everything, said Martel. I've been giving them every detail, everything from my bank account statements to all the information that came off my Google Maps. Martel said Martel said he has also asked police to give him a polygraph test, which will happen in the next few days. I just want to clear it up for everyone, not just people online making crazy accusations about everything he said. I asked for that early on, and there's not many places that do that in Canada, so they're flying somebody in. Polygraphs are sometimes used in police investigations, but the results are not admissible in Canadian courts because they are unreliable. RCMP declined to say whether a polygraph would be administered. So that's it. Even if it's just two kids wandering off, if it's two kids wandering off into the wilderness, it's after 6 days now. And there's wildlife out there, black bears, coyotes, wolves, cats, and lakes. And that's that. All right, well, we'll get to a lighter note in a second. Jay Decory 2012 says, my video to encrypt this is all about woke Viva. Also in August, I'm going to want to do a liquid death drink with you. Also, I'm going to want to do a liquid death drink with you. Get ready.
He's coming to the event. He's saying he wants to drink a liquid death with you.
Oh, okay, cool. I thought maybe so. I reached out to Liquid Death for a sponsorship, and they didn't get. Well, I don't know. Did they get back to me? They didn't get back to me. I like Liquid Death.
I have Liquid Death.
Say it again.
I've got Liquid Death. We can do that.
It's good. No, it's good. It's good. Regular flavored carbonated water. Topo Chico is good, but it's owned by Coca-Cola. I have trouble drinking it now. My second cousin, Raymond Cardinal Burke, should have been selected as Pope. His middle name is literally Leo, says Dan Vicious. And Stevie Ray Vaughan as well, says Dan Vicious. Okay, let's yeah, okay, we got that now. Did anybody get offended by the Trump truth post about AI generating him as the Pope? Like I saw people who I didn't think would be getting offended by that, and I didn't think it was something worth.
He didn't even generate it. Like he just retweeted it because it was funny.
Yeah, but then the question is that sensitive or religious people who say there's no laughing matters about this say it's not funny, but I
think it's hilarious when Nick wears the Pope outfit. So
that's true. Actually, I didn't even think about that. Well, on the oh gosh, I don't even want to say it's not. It was sort of the intended segue, but Pam Bondi. I'm not saying Blondie yet. That was actually just an accident. Pam Bondi did another press conference this morning, and this will be further critique and further incredulity. That's not the word. I always use incredulity wrong. I do not believe what Pam Bondi's saying here. Okay, she did a press conference this morning, and no, this was yesterday. Sorry. Talking about the Epstein videos. And this is what she had to say. And the more she does press conferences talking about this without delivering what they are confirming exists, although they've already confirmed that something exists that they didn't deliver the last time, the more suspicious Viva be getting.
James Comer said yesterday that all the Epstein files are missing. We still haven't heard from you.
No. It said, I don't know if anybody can hear that.
James Comer said yesterday that
all the Epstein files are missing. That all the Epstein files were missing. Laughing in disbelief. Do you still have them?
No. The FBI. Yeah, the FBI. They're reviewing. There are tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn, and there are hundreds of victims. And no one victim will ever get released. It's just the volume, and that's what they're going through right now. The FBI is diligently going through that. I haven't seen that statement, but I'll call him later and find out.
I mean, at what point does it become, what's the word I'm looking for? When you are deliberately obstructing, causing delays, but pretending to cooperate at the same time. This is decades old. The FBI is reviewing videos of Epstein and kids now. They've been in possession of these videos for, well, it's going to be a decade, if it's not more than a decade. They've been in possession of these. Pam Bondi came out, earlier on in the month before that whole binder gate and said, I've got the file on my desk. It's got terrible stuff. We're going to reveal it. We're going to release it. No releasing of anything. Well, you got to wait. Embarrassed all of those influencers. I held no ill will against any of them, knowing the circumstances of what happened. But now coming out and saying the FBI is reviewing videos of Epstein and children, it doesn't make sense at this point. And it is beginning to feel that it's an actual slow roll of nothing. And that you're going to get to nothing after having been roped along for an extended period of time. And in the meantime, Virginia Giuffre is allegedly no longer among the living. So it's becoming, unless that's her job and there's a good reason for it, and at the end of the day, we're going to say thank you for leading us along, and we understand now why it had to take so long to do what you said you could have done overnight because it was already on your desk. It is not making anybody any sense. And nobody has to see the videos. First of all, nobody can see those videos. To possess them is to break the law. To view them is to break the law. To search for them is to break the law. They want client lists. And now you cannot blame people for thinking at this point in time, they might be reviewing the evidence in order to destroy it, depending on who's in it. The James O'Keefe breaking story from yesterday is that they went out and got an undercover, under-camera recording of what's-his-face's confidant, Prince Andrew's confidant, acknowledging now that Prince Andrew, who was the man in the photograph with Virginia Giuffre, who's no longer among the living, she allegedly Epsteined herself, even though Epstein himself didn't Epstein himself. Epstein got Epstein, but not in the way that they want you to believe it. It's coming out in the same week as this. And if you haven't seen, I'm not going to play the whole thing. I'm just going to play the intro part, and I'll give you the link to the tweet afterwards. What I found amazing is the comments in the response saying, like, undermining, downplaying what James O'Keefe got on camera.
Prince Andrew, he was in the Navy. He was 250 days at sea. He never saw it for me. I was really pissed because he lied to me. Epstein.
Lied about what?
And
Epstein.
I did a big thing in the
Did a big thing in the Daily Mail.
saying that I believed Andrew. And then I found out he was lying.
So he did a big thing in the Daily Mail, defending him, defending Prince Andrew. Then he finds out he was lying. He was so pissed about what?
I was so pissed. No, that he was f***ing underage girls. That's not cool.
That he was effing underage girls and, quote, that's not cool. Here's the link to James O'Keefe. Go for it.
And I just dropped a link, actually 2 links. Click on the second link. It's a video, and it's already queued up to play.
Okay.
It's Kash Patel talking about exactly this, and there's a very interesting statement he makes. We can talk about that.
All right, let me bring this one up here. It is queued up for the time, so when I get past the ad, we'll see it right away.
Bobby founders.
So, okay, let's talk about the ads real quick. You need to use the Brave browser or the ad extensions that I've been telling you about because they stop the ads.
Suggestion deleted. Moving on.
Did Jeffrey Epstein hang himself or did somebody kill him?
Senator, I believe he hung himself in a cell in the Metropolitan Detention Center.
Are you going to release all the information about that?
Senator, we are working through that right now with the Department of Justice.
When do you think you'll have it done, Cash?
I think in the near future, sir.
Well, what does that mean?
Like before I die?
Senator, we've been working on that, and we're doing it in a way that protects victims and also doesn't put out into the ether information that is irrelevant for production of the public, such as CSAM.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, that's interesting. First of all, before I die, well, how are you feeling today? Who was the guy asking him the questions? I think I like him. I forget his name. Wait, hold on. Let's just go back here.
John Kennedy.
Hold on.
His name is John Kennedy.
Really?
Yes, really. He's awesome.
Is he a Kennedy?
Well, sort of relation, not that close.
I would have asked how old are you, Mr. Kennedy, before I die. But that it's interesting, and what's interesting is Cash says, "I believe he hung himself," which is not to say that he hung himself, because Cash can choose to believe something that's simply not true. Hold on a second. Yeah, how long has my computer not been plugged in for? Oi! Oh my gosh, my legs. So that's interesting. What is your takeaway from that, Encryptus?
So the main problem here is CSAM, which is
yes, child sexual abuse material.
Yes.
Child porn, which is illegal to possess, search, reproduce, republish, etc., etc.
What this means is that they're not documents, that the information is videos, and there's thousands of CSAM videos, which means that there are videos. This is the key, is they know who these people are, and how do you separate the CSAM material from the person in the video and provide evidence on those people? So I get the situation that they're in, and think about the fact that they have to watch this in order to do this. This is one of the most disturbing possible things that these people have to work.
Yeah, well, there's the client list. I'm not sure is they don't have to publish any video in order to identify who's in the videos. I can think of
in order to make those claims, in order to publish that and to not be sued or rejected in court, they have to provide the evidence. So this is that weird, crazy spot that they have to be in because the evidence is what it is. Do you air the evidence in a court and show this in a court, or do you find some other way to go about it? And my personal take is you have to find another way to go about it. Otherwise, that material is out there. Even if it's only in a court case, it is out there, and out there is out there.
I'm not convinced by that. There are ways that they can release the client lists. I mean, unless the idea is that they're going to prosecute and they're also preparing prosecutions at the same time.
Now that they have the evidence, I'm sure that they would like to. This is the right DOJ to be doing that. They gotta do it the right way. And appeasing a mob of people to say, give me the documents that you said you were going to say, doesn't actually solve the problem. It doesn't actually bring a resolution to the actual issue. It just makes the mob happy, and that's not a way to do things the right way. And I'm one of the first people who said, look, you should get me the documents and I'll process them and I'll make these things available to the public in an easy to understand manner. But the material is being what it is. I can definitely understand why there is some hesitation to push this out. And the fact that there are so many people complaining about it doesn't make me want to give it out. It doesn't help.
Well, there is not just plausibility to what you're saying. There's a certain element of accuracy to it. I think there's ways to release some information which was promised. And by the way, if this is true, what you're saying, the reason why I think that explanation fails a little bit is none of this is new. So they knew this when they promised the initial promises. And it is true that the CSAM is irrelevant to, if they're prosecuting, I don't know how, if the only caveat to it would be, we are preparing prosecutions, indictments, etc., and that is why we can't compromise those investigations. But then that would be the answer, which they haven't given. So,
well, that's literally what he was just saying. Is they're going through the information. They've got to be very careful about. You can't talk about an ongoing investigation when the people haven't been indicted and those indictments aren't on the table. So, in order to develop the indictments, and you know the law better than I do, you need to have the evidence set up, ready to go before the indictment comes down. And you can't talk about the indictment before the indictment.
No, you're not. But I agree. But you wouldn't have to do any of that in this case. In fact, just the broad explanation that we are preparing indictments, may be prosecuting, and therefore can't compromise those investigations is the answer, which was not given. It's not sort of what he said. What he's saying is we can't release it because we want to scrub the CSAM irrelevant portion from it and protect the witnesses. But all right, well, that's it. Anyways, that's what's going on with the. That's what's going on with Epstein. And we'll see what happens here. I did have another one in here. I got the AG Bondi. And that is it. And then what was this one that I wanted to bring up here? Oh, yeah. Tish. Well, there's no real news in Tish. I looked it up, but they're going to potentially prosecute Tish James. We'll get to that in a second. Get to the chat, everybody. Let me see what's going on here. There was my exact words, I believe, is not saying he did it. Well, it's also a way for him to deny it publicly without it being a factually incorrect statement. But the other thing is, do I believe that Kash Patel believes that Epstein killed himself? I don't believe that Kash Patel actually believes that. It defies basic logic to suggest that he actually.
I like Kash. I trust Kash. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't give Pam Bondi anything. I don't think she's proven her to be worth anything. But Kash, I know Kash well. I think he's the right person for the job, and let's give him the benefit of the doubt for right now.
Well, give him the benefit of the doubt, but when he says things like, I don't think Jeffrey Epstein killed himself, that's he's either I don't agree with his assessment.
Well, he is, again, he's the head of the largest law enforcement agency in the country who came to this conclusion, and undermining that would be.
No, that's an appeal to authority. Now I have to trust what Kash says. Nah,
no, I'm not saying not appeal to authority, but so far over the past years, Kash has proven himself to be a good guy. I'm interested to see if he can actually make this work. I don't trust Pam though.
Well, the chat has said, Viva, have you talked about the plus-size lady in Times Square? And the answer is no, I haven't. But the answer is yes, I will. By the way, we're going to have the locals after party in a few minutes, so start making your ways over there. What day is it today? It's Monday, Tuesday. It's Thursday.
Dr. Drew just went live, and I know you had said that you are.
We are raiding Dr. Drew, everybody. And go to Dr. Drew, ask him what I should do about my sore knee, my back, my IBS. Go ask Dr. Drew a bunch of hypothetical questions about my mental and physiological conditions, and he'll find that very funny. But do ask him. He gave me a site for cognitive behavioral therapy, things you can do like meditations. When we raid, go show some love to Dr. Drew. He's awesome, and that'll be good. And then we're going to end it with a little funny one. Times Square touts new statue of 12-foot tall black woman. How do they know she's black? As a stark contrast to statues of white women. Is this not amazing, actually? It's so freaking amazing that they can't identify what a woman is, but they can identify the race of a woman, the skin color of a woman, of a bronze colorless statue. It's amazing. How do they do that? Oh my goodness, the hypocrisy and the stupidity is overwhelming. But let's see what the art. I like art. I'm very much a fan of art. The Times Square website contrasted the new statue with two that have stood for decades, summarizing them as, quote, both white, both men. Oh, they know what a woman is all of a sudden. It's absolutely phenomenal. What if that woman, this hypothetical woman of the statue, identifies as a man? They've got a third white man in Times Square. New York Times Square is installed a statue of a 12-foot tall black woman in casual clothing that its creator hopes will encourage people to reflect on greater cultural diversity. The creator knows the identity of their creation because they're the creator. Oh my goodness, everything about it. The creator says, I know that this woman is both a woman and both black, despite being colorless, and we don't know how they, them, she, her identifies, except they do because they're the creator of the person. And so the creator knows the gender, and they refuse to understand the idea that whether you believe in God or a God, made in the image of God means you're born a male or a female. It's amazing. The New York Times Square art recently put up the new statue titled Grounded in the Stars by artist Thomas J. Price. I have to go see who this person is in a second, along with his Man series animated billboards, both of which are temporary but causing a stir online. Times Square stated Price's multi-channel presentation on the screens and the sculptural installation of the plaza below forms a two-part takeover in Times Square that foregrounds the intrinsic value of the individual and amplifies traditionally marginalized bodies on a monumental scale. Pun intended. Times Square stands as... who cares about this? He spent decades tacitly dissecting both implicit and explicit expressions of anti-blackness. Once you understand that artwork is nothing but money laundering, it'll all make sense. Let's just see who the man is. Thomas J. Price, British sculptor. Oh, there you go. Thomas J. Price. Let's go see a little bit. Let's learn about Thomas J. Price. A man telling us what a woman is. Shall we enter? Thomas J. Price. I don't mind. It's kind of cool. It's good detail for a bronze statue. Grounded in the Stars. Still from stop frame animation, plasticine video production. All right, well, that's what's going on. It's ridiculous. It's identity politics, and the funny thing is, like, it's empowerment. Strong plus size woman. Everything about it reeks of a stereotype and reeks of hypocrisy and double standards, where they can identify the gender and race of an inanimate, colorless statue, but they can't identify what a woman is in real life, to the point where they let men compete against those women in women's sports. That is it, people. Have we triggered the raid, Encryptus?
I was waiting for you to finish that story. Doing that now.
Well, let us go raid the Drew, and I'm gonna go. I don't want to opt out. I want to opt in. Gearing up. It says Viva Fry has raided Dr. Drew. Ask him about hemorrhoids. Ask him how often we should have endoscopies, or what are they called? Colonoscopies. Tell him it's been roughly 10 years since my last colonoscopy. Do I need to have another one? Ask him if he believes peptides are good for you. Ask him if he believes that you should be on statins at the age of 45. I am not, because I refuse to just take things that doctors recommend, and recommend for no better reason. Ask him how much caffeine is too much caffeine to have in a day. Ask him all of these questions. Dr. Drew is not there this week. He has a substitute. Oh, well. Anyways, go show some love to the substitute. Cadino Drive. Thank you, says Painted Horse, Thank you ought to know this exclusively on Rumble Monday, Wednesday. Okay. All right, that is it. Now we're going to go over to vivabarneslaw.locals.com. Tomorrow I will be on the road, but I will still have the 4 o'clock show. And what else? Stay tuned for an interview that's going to be published over the weekend. And I hope you all enjoyed the show and Rumble. If you're not coming over to vivabarneslaw.locals.com, make a friggin' appointment, Viva says Mighty Pay. No, I've made the appointments. For the colonoscopy. Oh, God.
Yeah, I know. I'm due for that too.
I'm waiting for the camera pill because despite the colonoscopy itself is not the problem. It's the whole lead up of like taking those diuretics to the point of.
It's all the problem.
Yeah.
Before, during, after.
It's an unpleasant. Plus, the doctor said I was clean as a whistle the last time, and I saw deep inside my own body in ways that I don't believe humans are meant to see inside their own body. All right, come on over to vivabarneslaw.locals.com if you are so inclined. Rumble. If not, peace out. Enjoy Dr. Drew. Subscribe, notifications. You know the whole shtick. And locals, here I come. All right. You a bit young
Whoever
for that.
was wrong, by the way. Dr. Drew was definitely live today.
No, but he may be live, but I think he's got a guest. Not a guest, guest host.
No, he's got a guest with him, and Dr. J. Bhattacharya is in an interview with him today. Whoever posted that was wrong.
He is live right now.
Yeah,
and he is. Let's see what the raid says. So there's no way. Okay, let's see. Raid. Here we go. Loyu. Good. I'm just looking at the chat over here. Dr. Drew Viva said he has IBS. Okay, it's working. Go. Get them all. All right, let's see what's going on over on vivabarneslaw.locals.com. Louis the Lobster, Teely, I forgot to sell my own book. It doesn't matter. Tzvi Hansa says Bhattacharya is good. Yeah, Bhattacharya now, hold on, he's with Bhattacharya.
Yeah.
And Bhattacharya was just named head of NIH. So we are all doing very well in terms of the transformational presidency of Donald John Trump. So transformational that even Mark J. Carney had to say it. Joe Mascu. Viva, there may be a slight complication on what Cash can say about Epstein not killing himself. Once the coroner said Epstein killed himself, there is no other determination that can be legally asserted. That's a good point. Yes, but then the answer should be, I don't have an opinion. I defer to the. I can only defer to the autopsy report. That's it. You guys are answering the questions the way maybe he should have, or maybe he intended to, but not the way he did. So I would have said no. I defer to the autopsy report, and that's officially what has been recognized. So my opinion doesn't matter. Bless me, Father, for I am a hypochondriac. It has been blank since my last colonoscopy, says one of the people. Neurodivergent says, Viva, I dropped Louis the Lobster book in a couple of times during the stream. Thank you very much, sir. Because I forget to do it myself. Who the hell stole my dog? Encryptus, do you see this on the right-hand side? Who the hell stole Winston? The dog's got a little bit of a longer muzzle. Who is this? Viva Fry. Barnes Fave managerial class attempts to take over Colorado and take over private farmed lands. See also North Carolina seeks to limit raw milk consumption. It's so stupid. When I go to Bedner's farm, they have to put on a warning on the freshly squeezed orange juice that it's not pasteurized. Like I'm there squeezing it myself with the machine because I got this beautiful machine. Not pasteurized. Of course, my kid just left out some raw milk for an extended period of time, so that's not going to make it. In INDTRK, IndieTrek says, Viva, maybe the client list does not exist and may have to be regenerated from watching the videos. Yeah. No, I'm just saying, the answers could have been different in terms of still retaining the secrecy, but not being unsatisfactory. J-Mangs says Senator John Kennedy. Okay, he's not fighting the oligarchy. Yep, says J-Mangs. Barbara C says, Viva, dear Pope Leo the 14th, wouldn't opening borders to those who have several children by practicing polygamy hasten Christianity's demise? The numbers don't add up. Whose side are you on? You just realize, like, going through his Twitter feed, it sort of feels like going through LeBron James's Twitter feed, except less prolific. Like, they don't understand what's going on. They tweet reflexively about issues which they think that by virtue of, their being Christian, that they have to take a certain position on, or at the very least, if the elements of the story were superficially true, like, okay, you got to take care of the homeless and give shelter to those in need. All right. So if you assume that, that's what immigration is to some extent, where it's only truly the needy and only truly those who are escaping dire circumstances, that's the Christian thing to do. Once you understand that that's not what illegal immigration is about or has been by any means, and that it's basically a full-on invasion, that's no longer the appropriate response, let alone, I'm not lecturing anybody on what it means to be a Christian, let alone the religiously acceptable or religiously justifiable response. So they have superficial understandings of George Floyd, or at least reflexive on the moment, not waiting for facts to come in. Same thing with Charlottesville. I realize I don't know enough about Charlottesville. I know that I'm told the woman who died, there was sketch around her death. It wasn't a murder that got, despite what the guy got convicted of. Plants, Jan 6-esque type feds, which I have no doubt about. And they don't, but certainly they don't seem to be, quoting the Washington Post, they don't have any understanding of that. And so they go out and they post what they think is the Christian response, the loving, peaceful, tolerant response to what they, through their brainwashing or relying on MSM, say is acts of hatred and whatnot. But yeah, R.O. Poppy says, "Hey, Hoser," I think that's me. "Here's a Saskatchewan activist, Nadine Ness, you may want to have on. Please help her spread the message." Well, I like being called Hoser. Hold on one second. I'm joking. I actually don't. I'm not sensitive in the slightest. Let's see who did that come from? That came from R.O. Poppy. Calls me a hoser. How dare you, sir?
Ecological operations that the mainstream media is pulling.
Mainstream media. Nonsense.
Oh, Nadine Ness, I follow her, and I believe she follows me, and I believe I follow her on Twitter. I'm going to leave that open in the backdrop, and I'm just going to go double check if I'm not wrong here. Nadine Ness. I'm fairly certain she follows me on Twitter, and I follow her on Twitter. And let me see, I'm fairly certain, yeah, we have been in touch we were in touch in January. Have I not had her on?
I don't think so. Name doesn't sound familiar.
Geez Louise, we had a discussion. Well, she was supposed to be on, so I'm going to go back and revisit that. Let me just put a little bookmark in that. Okay. So Nadine Ness, yes, we follow each other. We actually had DMs back in January and talking about coming on. I just don't understand why it didn't happen now. All right, getting back to the chat over on vivabarneslaw.locals.com. Hello, David from 60 Special. 60, how you doing? I went back to see the egg again of the deer kill, the kill deer. The egg is still there. It's not disintegrating or breaking, and there's no ants eating it, but I have not seen the bird there the last 3 times I've gone by. So I don't know if it's left it for an extended period of time. It's in the ground, very well camouflaged with shells around it. It's totally amazing. But I haven't seen the bird, and it hasn't hatched. I'm not touching it. Not even coming that close to it, but it has yet to hatch. Parents are not there, and I'm not sure what's going on with it. Mofolo says, "Viva, I watched a video of this guy. It seemed like some kind of over-the-top gay parody. I expected him to start lisping. Leo X was supposedly a swisher." I don't even know what I'm reading right now, and I think I've just read some words that are going to get me in trouble. Mofolo, I don't know what you just said. From what I read, he's a clone of Francis the Degenerate. If that's true, I'm truly sorry for the Catholics. I have heard that he's similar to Pope Francis, but I know nothing of Pope Francis. If I'm not mistaken, I can only guess a time frame on when Pope Francis existed, and I think it's when I was 16, so I'm going to say the 90s. When was Pope Francis elected? No, see, that's how bad. 2013. Oh, wait, I do know who Pope Francis is.
Yeah,
yes, I remember.
He's the Obama era Pope who went completely woke and was okay with trans and abortion and everything else that we would call anti-Catholic.
Yeah, no, I remember his face. I didn't realize that was his name. When did he? He's the one that? Is he the one that just? He's not the one that just died. Yeah, he did. He's the one that. So that's okay. I didn't realize that. Well, hold on a second. Who the heck am I thinking about? Let me see here. Who was Pope in 1996? In 2996, who was the Pope? It helps to spell the words properly. John Paul II. I know nothing of Pope. I'm just going to shut my big mouth right now. We got Open Substack. Posobiec reporting Pope Leo anti-Trump posted about J.D. Vance for illegal immigration. Yeah, we got to that at the beginning of the show. Then we got a picture of the Pope, a Pope with Muhammad Ali, and it says Pope-a-dope. Then we got CJ Fielding says, it would be nice if he became born again. John 3:3, you must be born again. Having seen those caterpillars be born again really is amazing. It's crazy. One of the chrysalises fell off, and then it was dead, and we dissected it, and it really is a soup inside. It's like green goo. And the idea that out of that green goo can come a butterfly is flipping mind-blowing. Lion Paw says, Bernie sold out twice. Nothing new with this con man. Yep. Neurodivergent says, Encryptus, I told him we'd get him another time. At least I showed him how to raid. LOL. What happened?
Another suggestion for another channel to raid.
Okay. No, we have to do Dr. Drew. There was no question we had to do Dr. Drew. One of the people says, I wonder how many of the missing millions of people in China were sent to other countries. Africa has many, Australia too, South America and the US and Canada. It's actually, it's wild. And it was Michael Yon who was talking about full out Chinese villages in South America. It's insane. They're playing a long game of global domination. Ken 1979 says, if the French can do it with Avignon Pope, then a nation that's 1,000 times greater than France ever will be can do the same. I'm not sure what that is about. I'm not reading that. I'm not reading that. I'm not reading that either. We haven't had
reading them first than just reading.
Well, the first three words were enough to let me know not to read the rest of it. We haven't had a valid Pope since Pope Benedict the 16th. Okay. I wanted Cardinal Burke. I hate this man. I'm not even reading that one properly. All right, now let's go back down to the bottom here and refresh.
Rumble chat was there was not one positive comment about the Pope choice. And our audience is generally religious.
Yeah, well, that's it's amazing. So now I understand what that Netflix series Conclave is about. But I mean, that's the thing is, so long as he doesn't have any meaningful influence on politics. Okay, so he's open border and very virtuous, and maybe he's even taken in a few immigrants in the Vatican. They haven't opened the borders to the Vatican yet. They have good walls and good fences and good security at the Vatican, so he doesn't have to live with the consequences of his policy. But for the rest of it, I mean, the Pope has no religious relevance to me as a relatively secular human. Cultivated Mind says, don't forget the creation of new islands to claim international waters. Yes, good point, says Cultivated Mind. Tzvi Hansis says, the papacy is globalist from creation. That's the other thing, by the way. Like, now that Barnes has explained the difference between Catholicism, Protestantism and Catholicism, the idea of having like a religious figurehead irritates me. I'm prone to immediately rejecting any form of authority that's going to tell me what to think or on whom I'm supposed to be reliant for moral and spiritual guidance above and beyond my own good judgment as to who I think is worthy of giving advice and from whom I would want to take advice. Like the Pope's not going to replace my father. No religious figure is going to replace my father. And yeah, that's my thought. Cardinal Burke is a great and holy man. I met him. If it had to be an American, I wanted it to be Burke. Burke would have restored the church, says Ken 1979. Finnebear is a new name. The Catholic Church has its own politics, and their deep state is much older than the one in U.S. politics. That's what I have no doubt about. That it feels like something of it was always going to be an overtly political decision, but it feels political. Neurodivergent has a funny meme, which is kind of cute. It says, you say my stinky diaper is a problem, and you're the one talking shit. Hardy, har, har. Good sir. Let's see what else we got going on in here. The thing about the people that are not Catholic speaking on Catholic things is really annoying. If you don't practice the faith, then you really don't know what you're talking about, says Denise Ann 2. Yeah, that's getting very close to the Douglas Murray. You've never been? In terms of, you used to be Catholic.
I born, baptized, and Confirmed, yeah.
And then what happened?
I grew up.
And then what happened?
I, generally speaking, I was practicing Orthodox.
And that means what now, practicing Orthodox?
Let's call it a halfway point between Catholicism and Protestant in Greek.
Interesting. All right. Now I finally opened up that meme about the milk, or the screen grab of Thomas Massey's "Come and Take It" with raw milk. Then someone writes, Rob McNeely, "Cow milk is meant for baby cows, not humans. Eat your bugs and leave us alone." Cows don't have babies. The young of cattle are calves. Fresh squeezed milk is even better in glass. Fewer toxic chemical residues, but raw, real farm milk in plastic beats the industrial produced white fluid in supermarkets. Loved Massey's reply. Roosting says, Viva, what was the obscure subject of your thesis called? It appeared even Gad Sad was surprised by it. Deontological consequentialism. I've got to find my freaking thesis.
By the way, I have scoured every possible source to find it. It is not published on any of the university sites and any of the university archive sites.
Yeah,
everybody else's are published, by the way.
Well, in 2002 they were published?
You can get them going back to the 80s at this point because they've put them all online. They've published. There's archives in Canada. There are specific college archives for these. And the last time we talked about this, I did like 2 days worth of research to find it, and it doesn't appear anywhere. And you have such a unique title; it should be findable.
Well, it was called deontological.
Even your name.
Yeah, the name, the university, the year. I mean, I've got it. I know when I did it. I even contacted my thesis advisor, and she said she didn't have a. I don't blame her. Nobody has things backed up from 2002 or even a physical copy. Maybe I have to go to the archives of the university if and when I can ever go back to Canada.
Their archives are online, but unfortunately, yours is not published online.
Hold on. I'm realizing I'm going to go through a box of papers because I have a bunch of stuff from high school, and in there might be my thesis. I know that I have something, and I had it here. I'm going to go into the garage and see if I find something. What's amazing is
again.
Yeah, no. If I find it, dude, first of all, I'm going to read it and see if I'm going to be embarrassed by it. But then I'm going to publish it because I think I made some damn good sense in it. I'm going to go into the garage right after this right now. In our garage, by the way, so I from my practice of law, I still have, we shipped down the boxes that were in storage in Canada. It cost us $10,000 to ship our stuff from Canada to the US. We did not have $10,000 worth of stuff. I'm not joking. 10,000 US for a container. It had a piano. That was the one thing that might have been worth like $3,000 or $5,000. Piano, boxes of law stuff that I didn't want to destroy because I had to keep it for 7 years. And it's sitting in the freaking garage. I can destroy it now, but my neurotic father, if you thought I'm neurotic, says, keep it for another year, Viva. You don't need to destroy it yet. And I think I'm going to go through it before I shred it, but I'm fairly certain that I brought some high school university memorabilia back from Canada. So if I have it, I'm going to scan it. Viva Fry committed academic fraud. Now, my teacher, I'm a little... All right. Viva Fry, this says, Ken, 1979, I will never forgive anti-Pope Leo XIV because he was responsible for removing Bishop Strickland. Bishop Strickland is a very holy bishop, and he was removed for standing up to a drag queen group which pole danced on a guy dressed like Jesus in front of children. Yeah, that'll piss people off. That'll piss off the non-religious. And it was C. Hansis who said I committed treason or academic fraud. Elizabeth Freiheit has a thesis there, not yours, says Roostang. There's an Elizabeth Freiheit? Not even one of my relatives. Ken 1979 says, Viva, I have been to an Orthodox Mass. Frankly, I was disappointed because the liturgy wasn't in Greek, but the vernacular, I don't believe the liturgy should ever be in the vernacular, which is another reason I hate this Pope, because I go to the Latin Mass and he's going to try and ban it. Dude, that's some religious delving that I am unfamiliar with. The Greek Orthodox Church in Chattanooga has an amazing priest who actually teaches. Oh, very cool, Encryptus. That was Encryptus who said that. All right, now I seem to have given myself a little bit of hope that I can actually go find my thesis in the garage. We'll do that right afterwards. I know what it would be with, which was a short story I wrote in high school, which also was quite funny. Oh, yes, I knew I saved something specific and exclusive for locals. People, we're going to end on this. Yves Blanchette. This is so amazing. CBC Watcher, I think they follow me, writes, posted a clip of Yves Blanchette. He's the Bloc Québécois guy, the separatist, in response to Alberta's call to secede. I'm not even going to make the joke that I wanted to make because it might still be offensive and the internet is still the internet. This is Yves Blanchette. I told you that Canada was going to go full balkanization if the Liberals won. I said if the Liberals won a majority, they've effectively got a majority. I said that Quebec was going to be angry that Alberta is probably going to be more advanced in its movement to secede. And guys, I've been pretty effing good these days. Listen to what Yves Blanchette has to say and listen to how arrogant and condescending this is. Quebec's got a distinct identity, but Alberta doesn't.
For a long time, you've been talking about trying to separate from Canada. Now we're seeing that out in Alberta. For the people in Alberta who want to separate, do you have any tips for them on how to actually get the job done?
There's a little bit of humor here. I like it. It's like, well, we failed twice, so maybe don't come to me for advice.
Success so far, it does not place me in a position to give them tips about what to do, but I could give them tips about what not to do. Not now. The first idea is to define oneself as a nation. Therefore, it requires a culture of their own.
They have no culture of their own.
And I am not certain that oil and gas qualify to define a culture.
Oh, that's what I...
But it's...
Do you know the jokes that people can make about what defines Quebec culture? I can't make them. But you know exactly. You go read through the comments. Some people did make them. Define Quebec culture. Did I hear you get angry, Encryptus?
Oh yeah, so there. We have a lot of amazing Albertans in our community. I can guarantee you they would all disagree with that.
No, it's not just. First of all, it's condescending as if to suggest Quebec has a culture and Alberta doesn't, and then it's so bloody demeaning to suggest that Alberta's culture is reduced to oil and gas, in as much as Quebec's culture is reduced to hydroelectricity and poutine. Like, I mean, that's the joke that you want to make. It requires a little bit of fleshing out with words so that it's not taken out of context. But what a condescending prick to have said that.
To decide if they want to revindicate the right to self-determination. Would never interfere in that. It belongs to them. I would like us to be the first to do so, however.
Oh, yeah. I told you it's going to happen, people. My goodness. I'm going to go send that to Matt Gaetz so that people can actually understand. I may not have the big brains that Barnes has, but my goodness, can I connect a couple of dots when they're really damn close to each other? Tzvi Hatzis says, Viva, how about not being anal about everything? Because that seems to be Eve's culture. Oh, I thought that was a colonoscopy joke. Finboy Slick says, I resent that, Viva Fry. You forgot to mention pea soup. No, it's like, first of all, would I say that every province has a culture? No. Partly because some have diluted whatever culture they might have had through mass immigration, and take that for what it's worth. I would say that Alberta has a distinct culture. Alberta, Manitoba, I would say that Alberta, Manitoba, Saskatchewan. British Columbia has a culture. I wouldn't call it Canadian culture anymore. And the same for Ontario. Quebec definitely has a culture, but what an arrogant prick to suggest they have a culture and they have a language. Okay. The culture is being descendants of les filles du roi. And for anybody who doesn't know what that is, that's being the descendants of prostitutes. I mean, Quebec, in as much as Australia was populated with convicts from England, Quebec was literally populated with prostitutes going to make babies in Nouvelle-France, and they called them les filles du roi, the daughters of the king. So it's a terrible thing to say because it opens the door for a great many jokes that are cheese curd based. Poutine is freaking delicious, by the way. I'm just also not convinced that it's a Quebec creation. But anyway, that's it. You're going to see the balkanization of Canada and the race to be the first, because Quebec will be very, very resentful, like a scorned woman. If Speaking of being politically incorrect and getting canceled, a scorned person of female nature who will not get to be the first province to successfully separate from the country. But once it happens, it's over. Canada is going to be the divided provinces of Canada.
Can you give me? I don't know all the stats here. Which province has a higher, let's call it GDP? Is it Alberta or Quebec?
No, I would bet immediately it's Alberta. I would say it's 3 times as much. Let's see, which province has the highest GDP? Maybe Ontario. It's a complicated one. No, I'm gonna say Alberta, then Quebec for sure. Ontario has the highest GDP among the Canadian provinces with a nominal GDP of approximately 1 trillion. Okay, list the provinces by Well, hold on. We got to do per capita GDP. That's
well, I'm saying, my point is that the one that has the most money and the most self-sustainability is likely the first to go. And my thought was Alberta was that.
Based on the most recent available data, you're going to list of all provinces rate by GDP per capita from highest to lowest. Okay, I felt stupid for a second in referring to GDP on a per capita basis, but that is I thought for a second GDP was per capita, but no. So based on Encryptus, you'll tell me if your AI search gets this. Based on the most recent available data from 2023 to 2020 and 2024, list of Canadian provinces ranked by GDP per capita in Canadian dollars from highest to lowest. Northwest Territories was the first per capita. Nunavut was the second. Then Alberta. Then Yukon, Saskatchewan, Newfoundland per capita. This is wild. Then Ontario, British Columbia, then Quebec, then Manitoba, Prince Edward Island, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia. One thing's clear, maritime provinces, poorest. I have to see what that means, actually. But that is it. And then there was one more tip question. Joe Maskew, Viva, there might be a slight complication on what Cash can say about no, sorry, I already got that one. All right, I'm going to go to the garage, people. And if I find my thesis, you will be hearing me cheering from across the globe. Canadian provinces have huge debts, says Roostang. Smash it, peeps, says Neurodivergent. I don't know what that is, a special SOV. Oh, I know who that is. That's the guy that was trying to get Trump impeached. Go and enjoy the evening. And I'm going to go rummage through the garage. It might even be in my wife's filing cabinet. Okay, I'm going to go see if I can find this. Locals, thank you for being here. As always, enjoy the evening. Godspeed. God bless. I will see you tomorrow. I will be in Orlando tomorrow. So live on the road. Very short trip up and down and then back for the Sunday show. So we'll see each other no later than then. Go and enjoy the day. And thank you all for being here, peeps. Peace out. Booyah.